Let's go. We are back for another episode of the Brotherhood Breakdown. I am your host, Jamal. I'm one half of the Professional Amateurs podcast. Shout out to my guy, Courtney. And I'm excited, y'all. It's countdown to craziness day. Christmas to a lot of Duke fans, early Christmas. The unofficial start to the college basketball season. Say unofficial because officially when the games start, that's when the season actually starts. I guess you want to say that. But countdown to craziness is a day that most Duke fans mark as we here. This is the We Are Here day. This is I will not be attending. I'm recording this, like I said, on Countdown to Craziness. It's 7:20 right now. Countdown to Craziness is actually going on right now. Which I got it on my phone. I'm not gonna lie, I'm paying attention to y'all and the phone. So I will be paying attention to Countdown to Craziness. I'm just not in attendance. This is only the second time I won't be in attendance to Countdown to Craziness since 2010. I'm that big of a Duke fan, y'all. I went real quick history lesson on me. My then girlfriend, now wife, surprised me with tickets to Countdown to Craziness. That was my very first time ever going into Cameron Indoor Stadium. The 2009-2010 season. John Shire's last year, coincidentally. And I went in there, walked away thinking like, man, I just saw the national champion. And we did. We won the national championship. So from that year on, I just was like, all right, I'm the good luck charm. I went to the game. I told you I was a crazy fan in the last episode. So this is another example. But I was like, yeah, I went to the game. I went to Countdown to Craziness. I'm a good luck charm. We won the national championship this year. I'm going every year. And I went almost every year except for 2 years. I didn't go to COVID year. And I'm not going this year. Or not the COVID year, but the year after COVID came back. I didn't go that year, and then I'm not going this year. But other than that, I've been at all of them. Another fun fact about me, this chain right here, can't even get it close to the camera. Try to take it off. I don't know if you can see it. It says Duke basketball never stops. Little glare. They actually gave me this. Put it back on. The year Austin Rivers freshman year, which would have been 2011, the 2011 Countdown to Craziness. It was 2011, 2012 year. I had a roommate. My roommate that year worked with McDonald's. He worked for McDonald's, and they were one of the sponsors. And so I was actually a part of the Countdown to Craziness. Like we played what was it called? Knockout it was Knockout. With the students. I was actually literally on the floor, y'all. One of the best experiences of my life. So they had us come out there. They told us there was like only thing is you got to let the students win. So me as a hooper, and I was in my prime, it was really hard for me to get on the floor at Cameron Indoor Stadium and act like I couldn't play basketball because across from me was a guy that really couldn't play basketball. So I had to like purposely miss shots so he could win the game. It was really weird. It was like something like knockout, something like that. I don't know. I had to purposely miss shot. That's all I know. They gave me this chain that says Duke basketball never stops. They gave me some shirts. They gave me signed autograph posters of the team that year. They set me. I literally was my seat. Somebody sitting next to me. Then the person sitting next to him was Doc Rivers, Callie Rivers. Then beside them was JJ Redick. So I was fanned out that year. I was in full fan mode. But ever since then, like I said, ever since 2011, 2010, the year I've been going, and that was one of my favorite years. That's just to give y'all some of my countdown to craziness moments. Now we are here for Countdown to Craziness. A lot of people are excited. Almost every fan is excited about this season. We have a lot to look forward to. Season ended on heartbreak, but we got a lot of good coming back, and everybody is excited. But it kind of got me thinking. All right, we're all excited about this season. We're all excited about the roster. What can Cameron Boozer do? Because he's the guy. Let's just be honest. Let's call a spade a spade. Every team that you look at, or every team that is assembled, has a quote unquote guy, the main guy, the number one. First option. This is my team, so to speak. I really hate that term. I hate that this is my team term because basketball is a team sport. Even though there is a pecking order as far as like best player, I even the best players can't do it by themselves, which we'll go into some of that today. But it got me thinking. As good as Cameron Boozer is, as good as the one and done we saw last year in Cooper Flag, what does it take to be a generational, or not? Maybe not. What does it take to be a generational guy or a generational talent as a freshman? But who are the generational? Get it out, Jamal. Who are the generational talent as freshmen? And it kind of got me going back thinking about all the one and done because we've had a lot. Now, personally, guys, I just all the Duke fans watching this, don't come for me. This is my personal opinion of the one and dones that were quote unquote generational talents, generational one and dones. And I will say that because you could be a generational talent past your one and done years, like Kyrie Irving, who I think eventually became the greatest offensive basketball player this planet has ever seen. Me and my co-host on Professional Amateurs, Courtney, we argue about that all the time. He doesn't think that, but I do, and I am not alone. It's a lot of guys. I've had people back me up. I think Kyrie Irving is the greatest offensive player basketball has ever seen. So that's a generational one and done talent that became generational after his year at Duke, because we all know what the year at Duke was like. 11 games, we lost to Michigan. To this day, real side note, because I brought that up in the last show that 2011 was one of the years that I thought that Duke would win, and that was like really rough on me. If Kyrie Irving never comes back and we finish that season with Nolan Smith still at the point guard, the head of the point guard, Duke wins the national championship. They go back to back that year. Kyrie Irving came back, threw everything completely off as far as the chemistry, the confidence Nolan Smith had with the ball in his hand, because when a guy like Kyrie Irving comes back, he got to have the ball. But we're not going to get on that. I'm not going to traumatize myself no more. Like I said, it is somewhat of a Duke therapy session for me. I use this platform to vent, get my feelings out. That's what this podcast is about. It's about the fields, as I said last week. So how we feeling about Cameron Boozer, y'all? I'll tell you how I feel. I feel good. I feel great, actually. And I'm going to let y'all know. I'm going to give y'all some. I told y'all I'm not a big stat guy, but I'm going to give y'all somewhat of a statistical backing on why I feel great about Cameron Boozer. Well, maybe not statistical, but I'm going to give y'all some stats to show y'all a little bit. I know a little bit about the numbers. Now, as I was saying, generational one and dones. What does that mean? Basically, it's a one and done that my definition, as I said, I'm looking at one and dones in Duke history that I look at these guys, them alone, by themselves. This guy is capable to carry us to a national championship. His play alone can transcend anything else that goes on the court. Bad shooting nights from other guys, foul trouble. Like his play, his impact alone can transcend everything, and this piece is good enough to get us there. Whether he gets us there or not, he's good enough to do so. Now, in my opinion, I'm 41 years old. I've been a Duke fan since I was 7. As I said on the last episode. 41 years old now. In my opinion, all the years of watching Duke basketball, I have seen 4. Yeah. I went back and forth. I'm going to just go ahead and name the guys that I consider to be the generational one and dones. We just had one, Cooper Flag, Marvin Bagley, Zion Williamson. Now, I went back and forth with deciding or waffling whether or not Kyrie Irving is a generational one and done, whether Paolo Banchero is a generational one and done. You could, like I said, if you want to throw them in there, I don't consider them. They're right there below it. Kyrie Irving didn't play enough game. When I get to show y'all some of the stats and like things that I compile with the guys that I name, you'll kind of see why Paolo doesn't belong in that class. He's a tier right below them, but I wouldn't put him in that generational one and done class. But as far as the generational one and dones, like I said, Zion Williamson, Marvin Bagley, Cooper Flag. The last one I didn't name it is for Jalil Okafor. would be considered a generational one and done for me. Now, what I'm gonna do today is try to put a battery in some of y'all back about Cameron Boozer, because a lot of y'all know that Cameron Boozer is top 3, top 2, top 1, depending on who you ask and who you talk to. Top 1, if you ask me. Best freshman in the country entering into the 25-26 season. Actually, the final rankings just showed that Nate Ament is the new number 1 in the class, which blows my mind, bro. I watched Nate Ament play in person last December at the John Wall Holiday Invitational, aka the Glaxo to all my old school North Carolinians who was attending that tournament since the 90s like me. Shout out to John Wall, that's my guy. The John Wall Holiday Invitational, I watched Nate Ament. I personally wanted to go last year to watch Nate Ament because I knew he was on Duke's radar and I wanted to see him in person. And I was impressed with the skill set, wasn't impressed with the play. If that makes sense to some of y'all. Tools, you can't deny it. 6'9", 6'10", rangy, long, handles it, shoots it well, good feel for the game, can pass it. Tools are there. I get it. I just watching him, the impact just was not there. He doesn't. My guy Courtney, he was there with me. He says he doesn't have a big enough mean streak, and I concur with that. It's just not a lot of like, which you can be a quiet guy and like still a dominant guy, a la Jason Tatum. We've seen that, but I don't know. That's the thing that just did it. He just didn't seem to like dominate the game with his presence. You can dominate the game and not be statistical, and that's very possible. Which I know a lot of people point to points per game and things like that. They look at numbers. That's why I'm not a big numbers guy. I'm a feel guy. You could like a guy like, for instance, let's try to give Duke fans an example. A guy like Emil Jefferson, perfect example. Emil Jefferson, Sion James. Let's use another one. More recent to some of you younger fans. Sion James statistically didn't jump off the charts. Impact wise, though, him and Malik Brown, that's another good one. That's a guy who could jump off the charts impact wise, not statistically. So you can impact the game in a way that is dominant, but not impact in a way like as far as field goes, but not impact the game in a way that's dominant as far as statistics goes. And I would not care. But Nate didn't impact that game for me like from a dominant standpoint. So I wasn't too upset when we didn't get him. Now, back to the actual topic at hand, because I had to go off on my little Nate Amen thing, just to let y'all know. I watched him in person, and I wasn't impressed, and I'm not upset that Duke didn't get him, which I know a lot of Duke fans were, but trust me, y'all, we're not missing out on that. Now, as far as the impact that a player can have, I am fully confident that Cameron Boozer can have that impact that some of these other guys have. Now, I did a little homework for y'all. Now, I hope y'all appreciate this because I didn't do homework when I was actually in school. So, if you can see this, I compiled a little graphic of the generational one and done guys who I think. And well, let's take a look at Jalil Okafor first. Just gonna start at the top. Ja, which I called him when he was at Duke. Ja, 17 a night, 8.5 boards a night. I wanted to add. Now I know a lot of these guys. The first three, matter of fact, all 4 of these guys are bigs. Let's just throw that out there. I don't think that that's a coincidence. Big men, they transcend the game. They impact the game in a different manner than guards do. You would rather have a dominant big than a dominant guard. Word to us, because like I just said a couple of minutes ago, I think we have the greatest offensive basketball player in greatest offensive player in basketball history come through Duke. And that team lost in the Sweet 16 that he played on. And in a game when he dominated, he was as good as you could get. 28, I think I memory serves me correctly. I think we had 28 in the game in the loss against Arizona. And it was just not enough. I don't know if it was 28. I know it was in the high 20s. Don't get me wrong. Y'all don't come for me if I'm wrong about the numbers. I told y'all I'm not a numbers guy. I'm a field guy. But all I know is I remember that he dominated. Singler didn't. Smith didn't. We got bounced. But all of these guys, like I was saying, are bigs for the most part. Well, not for the most part. They all are big. So Jaja, 17, 8.5, 1.3 assists per game. And like I said, I wanted to get the assists per game to drive home how important playmaking is, even if you're not a guard, you know. So 66% from the floor, not a three made, which 51% from the line. And Ja's form looked good. I don't know if y'all remember some of the guys, the people that do remember Ja. It wasn't that long ago. It was 10 years ago. People that remember Ja, shot looked good, man. Like the mid range was what I don't understand why he was 51% from the 3-point line. He didn't show any. He's not a lot of stretch stability. If you watched him at Whitney Young, he showed a little. Like I mean, everybody looked like Thanos in high school. Like, you know what I mean? If you're an elite basketball player, you probably look like the world's greatest basketball player on a high school level. But in high school, I did see him step out a little bit, which I was shocked when he got to Duke. He actually didn't do it none, but 0% from the three, 51 from the free throw line. First freshman in ACC history to win Player of the Year. That's important. ACC Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year, first freshman in Duke history to get a 20 rebound game. And the most important thing on Ja's resume as a Duke freshman, he cut them. Cut them nets. That's what we need. Cut them nets. Zion, a lot of people's favorite, 22.7 points per game, right around 23. That is elite as a college basketball player. I just really want to drive that home. That's the equivalent of 28, 29 a night in the NBA. Like, that is elite as a college basketball. 8.9 rebounds per game, which is pretty good, but considering the fact that Zion at the time when it was recorded had the highest vertical leap in Duke history, I was expecting 10, 11 rebounds from Zion Williams. I'm not going to lie. But 8.9, that wasn't bad. 2.1 assists per game. Zion, I think Zion was a better playmaker than the assist numbers gave him. But shooting splits, 68% from the field, 33 from the 3-point line, which was it's not great, but considering the way that they treated Zion, they acted like Zion was Larry Drew from shooting from the perimeter, which I know a lot of y'all Duke fans remember. He's one of my favorite UNC players ever. He could not hit the ocean standing on the beach, throwing a boulder in that hole. He couldn't hit it. But they acted like Zion was Larry Drew from the 3-point line, which 33% is not, it's not great, but I'll take it. 64%. That needed to be improved. Ultimately, like real quick, I thought the only thing that was going to derail that 2019 Duke team from winning the national championship game was the free throw line, and I was right. Ultimately, the free throw line bit us in the ass with RJ missing the free throw, but whatever. I'm not trying to traumatize us today, y'all. We positive. We on a positive note talking about Cam and the rest of the Duke freshmen. So, back to Zion, ACC Player of the Year and Rookie of the Year, all defensive team, which is very, very important. Sport News Player of the Year and also Rookie of the Year. Great numbers, great resume. Now let's go to Marvin Bagley. Marvin Bagley's freshman year was elite, which Marvin Bagley got robbed of a Final Four appearance. Honestly, I told y'all this is a therapy session, so just let me get it out. I'm going to get back to the point, but that block charge call on Wendell Carter was the worst block charge call in the history of college basketball, in my opinion. A block charge call against, what was it, Malik Newman, I believe. Oh, my God, that was so horrible. That was so bad, bro. That was so bad. All right, but Marvin Bagley, 21 and 11, 1.5 assists per game, 61, 39, 62 splits. ACC Rookie of the Year, ACC Player of the Year, first team All ACC, first team All American as well. Now the last one, also my fault. I don't want to elude this in Marvin Bagley's resume. The most 30.10 rebound double doubles in ACC history, which is important when we're looking at as far as what can this guy bring? What did he bring? What can this guy bring as far as Cameron? Because we're focusing on Cameron Boozer today, comparing him to some of the generational one and done guys. But on to the last, most recent, the one that's dearest in our heart, most near and dear to our heart, because like I say, we're the most recent. Cooper Flagg, 19 points per game, 7.5 rebounds, 4.2 assists per game, 48, 38, 84 shooting splits. Which the 38% from the 3-point line was That's the thing I'm most like proud of as a Duke fan that he did. Honestly, because the rhetoric behind Cooper Flag was, like I said, you would have thought he was Larry Drew too. It wasn't as bad as what Zion was, but that's all the questions was about Cooper. Can he knock down the three consistently? Will he be a good enough shooter? And everybody like that saw him play in high school. A lot of them didn't think he would be a good enough shooter, but he was. 38, almost 40% from the three-point line. So 84 from the free throw line. Freshman scoring record in a single game at Duke. 42 with the 42 point. Well, freshman ACC record with the 42 points. Against Notre Dame. Only ACC player with 500 points, 100 assists, 30 blocks in the past quarter century. That is nuts. He also won ACC Player of the Year and Rookie of the Year honors. So I just wanted to, like, in case some of y'all forgot, I know everybody remembered Coop. Everybody, a lot of y'all probably remember Marvin and Zion, and I just wanted to give y'all a little quick little like summation of the numbers, so we just have a visual aspect of it, so we can see exactly what these guys brought to the table, and we can have a basis of comparison for what we hope Cameron Boozer will bring to the table. Now, I showed you the numbers. I told you I'm not really big in numbers, big of a numbers guy as a lot of people, but I'm not really focusing on the numbers, so to speak, that Cam will. I mean, of course, I want him to perform well. Statistically, I want him to perform well. But my biggest thing is impact. So let's just look at some of these guys. Let me bring it back up real quick. Just so I have something to go on. Let's just look at some of these. The impact. Cooper Flag. Let's start with him since we here first. The impact Cooper Flag had on the basketball court. Now let's just kind of do a tell of the tape. Cooper Flag, they're around similar size, both 6'8", 6'9" range. Cameron Boozer is in the 250 range though, as far as his weight. A little bit heavier than Cooper Flag. Ball handling, I would give the advantage to Cooper Flag. I think Cooper Flag has a little bit more wiggle to his game. Cameron can put the ball on the floor with no problem though. Beat smalls or smaller power forwards, because I believe Cam is a natural for smaller power forwards. Even beat centers. I think that mismatch problem, as far as the how you had to guard Cooper and how you have to guard Cam, is similar, because you can't put wing on him because he's too big. Cam, you definitely can't put a wing on Cam. Cam will demolish a small forward with his size, unless you are like a small forward that's like in the 220 range, like a guy like maybe Shelton Henderson, which I would have loved to have him, but I mean, we can't have everything. Like a guy, I'm speaking like a guy in that size. Like those are the type of guys that's gonna maybe not give Cam trouble, but if you don't put a guy with that size on him, he's gonna give you trouble. So ball handling, I would give the advantage to Coop. Shooting, I would give the advantage to Cameron Boozer. I think Cameron Boozer is a much better for early on coming into Duke. Let me say that coming into Duke, much better shot maker, especially from the 3-point line, than Cooper Flag was. So the narrative that everybody had with Cooper and him not being a good shooter, good offensive player, you won't have that with Cam. Defense, Cooper was elite. Cooper's a one-on-one on defense. I think Cam is an elite defender, but there's levels to eliteness. Like it's just levels to how elite you are. So I think Cam is a level below where Coop is on the elite scale defensively, but I think Cam is, like I said, borderline elite, very, very, very good at the worst. Very, very great defender at the worst. Borderline elite though. So I think it checks off there. I think with that, that's fine. Coop would have this, or Cam will have a similar impact than Coop had in a lot of those areas. We would all love to see Cam get back to the Final Four the way that Coop did, but that remains to be seen. A lot of factors go into that. Luck plays a big part in that. Health plays a big part in that, which is one of the biggest things I'm concerned about. I talked about last week being concerned about, just like on a feels like level, being concerned about the fact that we might have to win this national championship without Caleb Foster being the starting point guard, which as long as we win the national championship, I don't think Caleb cares. None of the Duke fans will care. But I mean, just as far as how I feel about Caleb, I would like for us to win it with Caleb as the starting point guard. But as far as us being able to win a championship, I feel more than confident that we can get similar production out of Cameron Boozer that we got out of Cooper Flag. Literally, I believe he can average around 19 tonight. The rebounding, I think Cameron Boozer is more of Cameron Boozer is an elite, if I can get it out. He is an elite rebounder. I believe that 7.5 that Cooper average will be not as much as the 11 and a half or the 11 that Marvin averaged, but right around 9, close to 10. I believe Cam can average a double-double. Honestly, it wouldn't shock me. Matter of fact, it would shock me if he didn't average a double-double. Honestly, it wouldn't shock me. It would shock me if he did average a double-double or if he didn't average a double-double. I expect him to be around 19 and 10, 19, 9, somewhere like 9.6 rebound, like somewhere where you can round it off to 10, like right there on the cusp of 10 rebounds, like around 18, 19 points. As far as Marvin Bagley, the things that separate Cameron Boozer from Marvin Bagley is the defensive end. If y'all can remember, Marvin Bagley he tried, bless his heart. Bless his heart. But Marvin Bagley was one of the worst pick and roll defenders out of an elite player I probably had seen in my lifetime at Duke. Marvin Bagley's pick and roll defense was so bad that, if y'all can remember correctly, that team had to go to zone. Strictly because teams realized if we get Marvin Bagley in this pick and roll, it's chicken. It's chicken. And they ate that ish up. They ate it up when Marvin Bagley got in that pick and roll. So we had to play a lot of zone, which worked because Marvin Bagley, defensive instincts weren't elite, but his defensive attributes were extremely athletic, extremely bouncy, extremely explosive. So Marvin could do stuff, which he did a lot in high school, I'm assuming. He could do stuff like miss a rotation, be in the wrong spot on defense, but make it up because he's 6'11" with a 7+ wingspan and a 40-inch vertical. So he would erase some of the mistakes he made on defense. But in college, you couldn't erase a lot of them because your mistakes would become more glaring. So defensively, I think Cam holds an advantage there. Rebounding apples to apples, I think Marvin Bagley was an elite rebounder, probably the most elite rebounder that Duke has seen in my lifetime. Sheldon Williams is in that conversation as well. Thinking right off the top of the head right now. Y'all don't come for me if I forget somebody. But yeah, so Marvin Bagley's up there. I believe Cam Boozer can be in that elite rebounding class, just as Marvin Bagley was. The playmaking, Cam Boozer is a way better. And this is the thing about Cam Boozer that I don't think a lot of people are focusing on. Cam Boozer isn't, I think, an elite playmaker that doesn't. And that's the thing about Cooper as well. That's the comparison with Cam and Cooper to me, the playmaking that is more parallel, is the most parallel. I think that they are both elite playmakers that didn't get enough credit for. And the more you watch them, the more you realize, like, man, this guy really can see the floor, really has a feel for the game, really can get a pass there on time, on target. Like, really doesn't make bad passes, like bad decisions. Like, I think Cam can be an elite playmaker. So the playmaking in comparison to Marvin Bagley, I think Cam wins there. Zion Williamson. Now, Zion, like I said, the 8.99 rebounds a night, I believe Cam will be right on par with that. The Cam is a better rebounder than Zion. He doesn't have the athleticism. But as far as the actual skill, the skill of rebounding, Cam is better than Zion. So I fully expect for Cam to average more than 8.9 rebounds a game at Duke. The 2.1 assists per game at Duke, like I said, Zion was a little bit better playmaker than he got credit for. I don't think he'll be at the 4.2 Cooper was, because the thing that Cooper did, Cooper was an elite playmaker. He averaged 4.2 assists, but that was also because that team lacked a true point guard. We had good ball handlers. We had guys that could bring the ball up and that could set the table, but not set the table at an elite level for everyone. And so because of that, Coop was the de facto playmaker. I don't think that Cam will have to be the de facto playmaker for this team. He can be if necessary. God forbid, I don't got no wood to knock on. But if Caden gets hurt, Caleb gets hurt, we would need a de facto playmaker to make the plays. And actually, from a basketball standpoint, from an advantage standpoint, creating advantage, it might be best if your best playmaker is a post guy, especially because if you can get them on a low block and on like foul line extended, like somewhere right. The guys can make plays out of the post. Your team is in a better position. So I think that we could do that with Cam. I'm not sure, like I said, I'm not sure if it'll be to the 4.2 level that Coop was. It'll be past the 1.5 level that Marvin was, and probably past the 2.1 level that Zion was. As far as assists per game, I expect them to be around 3 range. 4 might be. I'm not sure. He could do that. Not that he's not capable, but his brother's elite at this, bro. His brother's next level, and we'll focus on him on in a later episode. But his brother is next level as far as that playmaking. Jaleel Okafor, as far as, because I hadn't talked about him much, which and it's a reason, because I kind of want to save him for last, because he is the guy that if I could have Cameron Boozer mirror his freshman season after any former Duke freshman, it will be Jaleel Okafor, and I'll get to that when I get to that. But as far as what Zion brought, the main thing that Zion brought to the table was the cult factor. Like, he was must-see TV. It was literally like a cult following behind Zion, which it was similar, not to the level that it was with Zion with Cooper. It won't be this with Cameron Boozer. Cam, like I talked about it last week on the last episode, Cam is literally flying under the radar as a potential number 1 pick, and that makes no sense to me. Like, he's a potential number 1 overall pick that people aren't like crazy over. People are acting crazy over Darren Peterson is playing for Kansas, which I can't wait to see that matchup with Cam versus Darren. People are acting crazy over AJ DeBonza. I don't really see people acting too crazy over Nate Amen, but like I just said, they ranked him ahead of Cam Boozer. Which, if you watch both of those guys play, there's no way that you think Nate Amen is better than Cam Boozer. And I get it. Nate Amen is more of a ball handling. Like, Kevin Durant got a lot of people's minds twisted in thinking that because you 6'10", 6'11", close to 7 feet, and you can handle the basketball and shoot it. Like, that's all everybody focus on when they see that. So that's why they got Nate up there. But on to Ja. I think Cam averaged more than Ja as far as points per game. Or Ja was 17 tonight. So, I mean, it's not like Ja was like 13, 14 tonight. Ja was pretty, that's well. It wasn't as good as Marvin and Zion, who both were over 20. Coop was right under 20. But Ja was 17 tonight. 8.5 rebounds. I'm almost certain Cam will be over that. But the 1.3 assists, I believe, 1.3, that sounds about right. I'm not gonna lie. It shouldn't be that much higher than that. Ja was a pretty good playmaker, especially out of the post. Now, this is the thing that I was saying about the impact. When I talked about impact earlier, and I talked about the guy, like I just said, that I want Cam Boozer's season to mirror his freshman season to mirror, and I wanted to be Jaleel Okafor because I vividly remember the impact. Even though Ja was only averaging 17 tonight, not 22 like Zion, not 21 and some change like Marvin. Every single time Jaleel Okafor touched the basketball in a situation where Duke gave it to him, like, we need a bucket, go get it, I was 100% confident that he was going to get it. He was the most surefire bucket that Duke has had in the one and done era. I'm talking about surefire, like, every time Ja touched that thing, that is a bucket. And it's still to this day, we 10 years later, and I'm looking at every prospect like, okay, do we have, or every team, so to speak, do we have a surefire bucket like Ja? Because Ja gave us that year, which I realized that early in that season, that, okay, we got somebody that we can give the ball to anytime the offense stalls, anytime, like, because you're gonna have that. Even Coop had like the Clemson game, which he came alive late down the stretch of that game. But like, most guys that play on the wing are gonna have bad games, and even you can be as talented as you want to. You just gonna have a night where you just don't have it, bro. You just don't have it. And Ja rarely had those nights. Ja was like I said, the most surefire bucket. Like, I know for a fact if we give him this basketball, this is 2 points. Cameron Boozer is going to be the closest thing to that, even closer than Cooper Flag. I think Cameron will be a more guaranteed bucket than Cooper will. This is just my opinion. I've watched both of them play an extensive. I'm talking about an outrageous amount of time. I can't tell you. I honestly don't even know how many times I've seen Cameron Boozer play a high school basketball game. Cooper Flag as well. I watched all 30 whatever it was of Cooper's college games, so I saw him play on the next level. And he was able to translate that to the next level. Like the scoring, he was able to transcend that. He was able to be a better scorer than what people thought. I think Cam can be just as good of a scorer as people think he is, if not better. But the impact that Ja had, as far as I know for a fact that when he gets this, that this is a bucket. Because one thing about Cameron Boozer, like I said, he got his daddy size, 250, 255-ish. He gonna move anything that get behind him. I don't care what it is. Anything that get behind him. Very, very quick. Elite quickness for a power forward. So if, like I said earlier, if you put a small ball 4 on him, he's chicken. You put a small ball 4 on him, it's chicken. You put a slower 5 on him, it's chicken. This guy can give you buckets from the post, like Ja could, from the wing, like Coop could. I don't think he's as athletic as Marvin, but good athleticism. Very, 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 very good athleticism. Not a below level athlete. Like, I don't think Ja was athletic at all. He wasn't. And I don't think he wasn't. Matter of fact, that's probably why Karl Anthony Towns ended up going number 1 that year, because of the athleticism. Which Karl Anthony Towns is not really that athletic, but as far as what he was able to do on the perimeter and his ability to move on the wing, and it's not just jumping in the air with athleticism I'm talking about. It's about guarding in space, which Ja couldn't guard in space neither. He wasn't as bad as Marvin, but definitely not the level of Coop, and definitely not the level of what Cameron can. But that impact that Ja had, bro, honestly carried us to the national championship game. And I am interested to see if Cam can bring that same impact. I believe he can, but if he does, this team will win a national championship. That's just how I feel about it. So looking at those guys, Jaleel Okafor, Zion Williamson, Cooper Flag, Marvin Bagley, I believe Cam can incorporate a little bit of all of those guys into this upcoming season. But if he replicates what Ja did from an impact standpoint, and the defense knowing that this guy's an automatic bucket, with him being a way better playmaker than him, that will open up the floor for guys like Isaiah, guys like Darren, guys like Caleb Foster. If that catch and shoot element is there for him to the level it was with Tyrese Proctor in year 3, Nolan Smith in year 3, Wendell Moore in year 3. Year 3 is the year of the Duke guy. If you're a Duke player that stays 4 years, year 3 is the year that you turn your corner, bro. So Caleb should turn the corner this year. If he does turn the corner from a catch and shoot standpoint, because that's role wise, I'm not thinking too much. Role wise, if he's just a catch and shoot guy, which I'll probably focus on that in the next couple of shows, because we got some time to kill and we got to get some content off before the games actually start. But if he can bring you that element, Duke will be in great shape. So I'm looking for Cameron to emulate what Ja did from an impact standpoint, emulate what Cooper did from a defensive standpoint, emulate what Marvin Bagley did from a rebounding standpoint, emulate what Zion did from overall dominant standpoint. Like, if he can bring those elements from those guys, this Duke team will be fine. So I'm excited. I think he does it. I think this Duke team wins the national championship. Of course, why would I not say that? But no, seriously, I think this Duke team has everything to do, every piece that it needs to win a national championship. They have the shooting. They have bigs. The front court depth might be a problem, but we have not front court depth. We have front court. What's the word I'm looking for? Quality front court players. We should have good production out of the front court. Let me say that. I'm just worried about right now, like Malik is hurt right now. Pat got injury issues. I'm worried that we might be headed toward some real Ife Ukachukwu minutes. Like, I don't think Duke fans, because I think a lot of Duke fans saw the roster and just automatically dismiss Ife like, oh, Ukachukwu is just not going to play. And I hope I'm saying his name right. I believe I am. But I know Ife. I'm going to call him Ife to be on the safe side. I know a lot of Duke fans looked at Ife and was like, Ife's not going to play. But pump your brakes, Duke fans. Like I just said, Malik Brown is already hurt. He will not participate in the camera tonight. Pat Gamba is, but Pat Gamba is injury prone, had the injuries in high school. Last year, they had the nagging injuries from high school lingering to last year. We saw him in the boot a couple of weeks ago, and all the Duke fans across the world was freaking out, even though they just said it was a precautionary. And then a couple of days later, we saw him in practice making nice plays. And I'm worried that we might have to get some real Ife minutes. But Ife is huge, bro. 6'11", 250, 260-ish. Big ass guy. Really big guy. So if we have to get to the Ife minutes, we'll see how that goes. But I think this Duke team has everything that they need to win a national championship, starting with the best player, who I believe can be a generational one-and-done guy. And if he is a generational one-and-done guy, like the guys that I mentioned, this Duke team will be in good shape. All right, that's it, y'all. I'm gonna cut it short. I don't want to go on ramble. I've been up here for 40 minutes talking about myself, which is really weird because, as I said, I'm one half of the Professional Amateurs podcast. Shout out to my guy Courtney one more time. It is a lot different. It's just like a night and day difference, bro. In recording podcasts by yourself and recording podcasts like with other people. It's just a complete. This feels really weird, but I'm gonna do it because I love my guys, and I'm here for y'all. I'm here for us. We here together. So thank y'all, everybody, for watching this broadcast. Y'all make sure I hit that like and subscribe button. Check out the Professional Amateurs podcast content as well. We break down everything in basketball from the WNBA to the guys. We talk about some college guys or some college. We will have a college basketball preview, which I will be picking us to win the national championship, and you can bet your life on that. But we do talk about some college basketball, but mainly it's NBA. Because my co-host does not like college basketball. He has a favorite college basketball team, which is the UConn Huskies. Goofy. But he doesn't like college basketball. So, y'all follow that movement, like and subscribe to this content as well. One more time. Thank y'all, everybody, for locking in. Thank y'all for all the support. One more time. Let's go, Duke.